Shut up and sit down.
Welcome to Being on Stage, the only podcast that gives you motivation, inspiration, and confidence to be better on stage. No matter how you entertain, sing, dance, band, comedian, public speaking, MC, drag, burlesque, performance art, or street performer, this is the show for you. Hey rock stars, Reggie Dawson here, host of the Being on Stage podcast. Welcome back. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me tell you about mistakes, all right? So first of all, it's been a crazy week. I know it's been a while since the last podcast, but life happens, things happen, technology happens. That's a whole nother story. But let me tell you about mistakes, because just now as I'm sitting down to podcast, and I tell myself, you have to podcast. Just like anything else, you know, when there's something you made a commitment to, you have to repeatedly tell yourself, you have to do this, you have to do this, you have to do this. You keep yourself motivated, keep yourself going. So as I'm sitting down to do this podcast and putting together, and actually this is completely free, like, I guess, no notes on this one, because I made a realization and I had to share, because it makes a hell of a translation into performing, into what you do, and to something you can apply and think about and kind of connects with you. So check this out, all right? So I'm sitting down, I'm getting ready to do the next episode, which is all about, you know, making a career and how much it means to you and things like that. So that's going to actually be the next episode. But as I'm sitting here, I'm looking at I pull up my program and something, listen, I'm going to share a little bit of a podcast secret here with you. So when I record my podcast and I have the intro music on, it comes on for about 28 seconds, and then my audio starts where I start talking. So sometimes in between episodes, I'll just leave the program up and, you know, reuse the same intro over and over and over again. And when I record, I mute the intro when I record so the computer doesn't play the intro as I'm talking to you, because then you'd hear the intro in the back. It's really strange. Anyways, it just helps that I can just talk and I don't have to worry about music playing while I'm talking. So I know I'm going like way into how I podcast, and oh no, I'm sharing industry secrets. You know what? It's not a secret. You can find this out on YouTube. Just like anything, you can learn anything on YouTube. So anyways, oftentimes when I bring up my program, I have to mute the intro, record the podcast, do a little bit of silence removal at the beginning, a little bit in the end. Sometimes there's somewhere in the middle where there's some silence. I end up having to cut out where someone knocks on a door or something. I don't know. I don't cut out much, just areas of silence that are too long. And after I do that, you know, I save it as an MP3 and I upload it to my hosting platform, and boom, it's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's on Spreaker, it's on Pocket Cast and Castbox, and wherever, Stitcher, and wherever you listen to your podcast, it's there. That's how you get it. I upload it in the RSS feed, carries it to wherever you push play. Thank you, by the way, for pushing play. And if you haven't done so already, can you leave a rating and a comment? I would greatly appreciate that. So here I am getting ready to do this episode, and I pull up the program, and usually I delete the last recording because I already have the episode saved as an MP3. So I delete the last recording and I start fresh. The intro is already there. I don't have to do any adding or editing. It's already there. So as I pull up the program this time, and I know I'm like super into this episode, and I haven't even talked about performing on stage once, but thank you so much for sticking with me. So as I'm pulling up this program, I realize the intro is muted as I'm deleting the last audio. So the last podcast episode, and if you listen to it, you already know where this is going, I'm sure. There's no intro. So for about 28 seconds, there's nothing but silence. So if you want to hear my one of my bigger mistakes of me leaving out intro music, check out the last episode. You need a little punctuation is what it's called. And It's a great episode, don't get me wrong. You just got to get through 28 seconds of silence before it starts. That's how long my intro is, 28 seconds. So if you get a chance, check out that episode. So as I'm pulling us up today to do this episode, I'm getting ready to talk about, you know, how to get what you want out of your performance career. I realize, oh my God. You know, it's been like 3 or 4 days since my last episode. It might be 5. It's been at least 4 days since my last episode. And so 4 days later, I'm realizing I did not put the intro music. I didn't unmute the intro music. Because I mute it when I record. I unmute it before I save it so that it's there and it plays. I didn't unmute it. So, yeah, that was a big mistake. I mean, truthfully, for a podcaster, and then we just, like, I'm going to flip this to you here in a minute, but for a podcaster, that could affect, that could affect people actually listening to that episode. They may not get what they need out of that episode because, you're not going all the way to the end. Some people, they play, and after 5 or 6 seconds, there's nothing. They stop it all together. Some people will click further in and see what's going on, but a lot of people, I would stop it. I would just be like, oh, well, I guess it's just an empty episode. I wouldn't stick around. I'm being real. Like, I'm being honest. I've done that. I have people that I listen to where I don't know if they left the intro out or if it really was an empty episode, because after 10 seconds, I stopped the episode and moved on to the next. So I don't blame you if you did that, by the way. But now at 28 seconds there's an episode, so you can go back and check that out. But yeah, so mistakes. That's the big thing here. Is there's going to be times when you don't even realize you've made a mistake until days afterward, months. And it's going to happen to you. You're a performer. You have this talent. You get on stage and you put it in front of an audience. You're doing a live production of some sort. You're putting on a live show. And even if you're recording a video, you're still putting on a show. There can still be mistakes. There could be something that you mistakenly don't edit out that should have been edited out, and you go viral for all the wrong reasons. But on stage, you only get that one shot. So it's inevitable, and it is, I want you to know this. It's inevitable, and there's nothing that you've actually done wrong, and there's nothing that you could have done to prevent it. Mistakes are going to happen on stage. It's just a fact of life. It's a fact of your career. The important thing is how you come back from the mistakes. Now, most veteran performers will tell you, when you make a mistake on stage, just keep going. Act like it's part of the show. And on some instances, you can absolutely do that. You can certainly act like it's part of the show. There's other instances, though, where there's no way you can recover from it and act like it's part of the show. And in those instances, sometimes you gotta just go with the flow, shrug it off, and look at him, wink. And I've said this to someone before. When you, I think I actually might have done an episode about this. We're on like 178, and so forgive me, I forget about some episodes. But I think I did an episode about when you make a mistake, just shrug, smile, wink, drink, and go. That's it. Shrug, smile, wink, and drink. I think that's how it goes. Well, if you make a mistake, that's it. You let it go. And it's okay. I want to tell you, and this is something that you'll probably never hear, and I don't know, I might get, blasted, on social media. But sometimes acknowledging your mistakes on stage goes a lot further than ignoring them. Your audience, most of the time, cannot tell you make a mistake. You make the wrong move, you go the wrong direction, you spin the wrong way, you play the wrong note, you sing the wrong chord. Most of the time, you can just move on and let it go. Sometimes it's very, very obvious, and the times that it's obvious, because you will hear little snickers, you will hear a couple of gasps, you'll see people, like, their eyes widen. Yes, you can tell when they can tell. At that moment, acknowledge it and move on. Just kind of give it a smile and a shrug and move the hell on. Because truthfully, there's no point in trying to hide the big mistakes. But there's also no point in being shamed on stage. The thing I hate the most to see, and please, if you do this, fight it, because it's okay. That's the one thing, is you have to know it's okay to make mistakes. So if you need to acknowledge a mistake on stage and kind of smile about it and just make fun of it, if you will, that's okay. That's what you got to do sometimes. Okay? So you make a mistake, so what? What do you think's the worst thing that's going to happen? Someone's going to come up and say, hey, I want my money back. It really wasn't worth coming here tonight, and since you made that mistake on stage, I'm going to need you to give me my refund for the payment I made to get here tonight. No, that's not going to happen. Okay? And truthfully, acknowledging your mistakes to your audience is a whole new way to connect with them, because guess what? Your audience is human also and has made mistakes in their careers as well. Boom. So keep that in mind. You know, it's okay to acknowledge your mistakes on stage. But yes, so the thing I hate the most, and I know I went way off the rails here. The thing I hate the most is when people get like depressed visibly on stage because they made a mistake, and you see it, like you see the mistake, so they make like a disappointed look, they kind of like put their head down a little bit, they close their eyes, like you can just see the disappointment on their face that they just made a mistake. And even if you didn't know that they made a mistake, even if your audience didn't know that you made a mistake, I'm like switching my you versus them. So even if your audience did not know that you made a mistake, when you have that reaction, when you have that negative, sad, upset, pissed off reaction to a mistake made on stage, then they 100% know you made a mistake. And they know that you're insecure about it. And it turns them off. If you just shrug about it and move the hell on, nobody's going to care by the end of the show. And you're going to get a lot more comfortable when you're okay with your mistakes. That's my spiel for the day, and that's what I get out of making my mistakes on my podcast, is, you know what? I'm owning the fact that I make mistakes. I'm a human being, and sometimes I forget to unmute the intro. I really hope I didn't forget to do it on this episode, because as I'm recording this, I don't know if that's happened yet. So this is interesting to talk about. But yes, before I go, I appreciate you tuning in so far. Before I go, I gotta say this. If you want to work together and you want to really kickstart your dream and get going, I have this opportunity for you to just hop on my calendar. We do like a 30-minute power call or shine session. I don't forget what I call it, but I guess it's your free coaching call, I guess. It's like a consultation. I don't know. Whatever. You call it whatever you will. We'll hop on the phone for about 30 minutes-ish. And the people that have done it in the past can tell you it usually goes over 30 minutes. But you hop on the phone for about 30 minutes-ish, and we just talk about what you want to do, where you're going, what you're struggling with, and we come up with some ideas to, you know, get you going to the next step. Because it's all about, listen, it's all about your next steps in your career. Like, that's what it's about. That's what we want to do. We just want to get to that next step, and then that next step, and then the next step. One step at a time, baby. One step at a time. So take the first step, hop on my calendar, go to beingonstage.com/calendar. That's just like the podcast, beingonstage.com/calendar. If you use Google Chrome, there's some sort of security thing that pops up. My site is secure. I promise you, I got a SSL security certificate. I'll send it to you if you email me, Reggie@beingonstage.com. But anyways, beingonstage.com/calendar. We'll talk. Pick a date, time, put in your name, email. We'll talk, and we'll get you going, because that's what it's all about, baby. Oh, and how could I forget, of course. Keep on shining.